Afternoon, madam.
Okay, so everybody is here. Shall we start the lecture? Okay, so last week we were talking about heat maps. I think we stopped somewhere before closing, before ending our lecture. We did part of heat maps. So first of all, do you have any questions regarding anything? Maybe from last week, maybe from the week before. Any questions regarding any exercises? No? Everything okay? Okay, give me a second. I'll share my screen. Uh, can you see my screen?
No, madam.
No, ma'am.
Okay. How about now? Now you can, I think. Can
Yes.
you?
Now,
Okay. Okay, so we were talking about heat maps, right? So we did a part of heat maps, like how to build a heat map using the color ramp or layer styling, right? Simply how to build up a heat map simply by using the layer style. So layer styling option. Uh, so today we'll I think we have to talk about this option, adding weight. So I think I mentioned in on the last week also. Um, so if you want to focus on a specific set of data, if you want to highlight, for example, here in this set of data that I have provided to you, there are these are criminal based data based on criminal activity in some area. So there are types of crimes, right? Like what is it, vehicle crime, criminal damage, or killing a person, violence, or robbing somebody. So there are certain types of crimes. So we want to focus on the crime type, right? We want to focus, or we want to build a heat map regarding the crime type, right? So we want to give an importance for the crime type in our heat map. So for that purpose, we can add some weight to the crime type set of attributes, right? We can give a weight, right? So for the thing that we need importance, we can give a weight. So for example, a more violent crime should have more influence in the output of the heat map. So need we need to provide more influence for the for more violent crimes, right? For example, killing a person is a much violence crime than just robbing something. Obviously, both of them are crimes, but killing a person, it has more effect or more influence on the society. So we want to know, or we want to highlight this killing a person, that type of crime, more than the robbing, right? Than a crime type like robbing something or stealing something, right? So so a point, so here one criminal activity is depicted by a point, right? So sometimes a point might represent multiple observations at a single location, right? So we for this option, or for this reason, we need to have a numeric weight. So what we are going to do is, we are going to add a new field for our attribute table, and we are going to add a numeric weight field. So we are going to give a value for each and every crime type. So for the more violence crimes, we are going to give a higher value, right? For the less violence crimes, we are going to give a lower value. So like that, we are going to give weights for the crime types. And then afterwards, so how we are going to give these weights are, we are going to use the field calculator. I think, yeah, we talked about this field calculator. We can query as well as calculating stuff, right? So this is the virtual field, this weight field that we are going to add is a virtual field. So it doesn't modify the source data. So let's see how we are going to do this, right? So in our attribute table, we are going to input, we are going to add a new field. Okay, so in our attribute table, we have to open the field calculator. Okay, so first of all, we are going to bring this layer. Okay, heat maps. Okay, so this is the CSV data. So we are going to add a delimited text layer. So everything is set, I think. Now we'll add. Okay, and we can also uh, add an OpenStreetMap from here. Okay. Okay, so this is somewhere in London, this data. So we'll zoom into the data points here, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to go to the attribute table of the data set, and there is an option called open field calculator here. So if we look at the attribute table, first of all, what are the attributes that we have about this data? We have a crime ID, the month this crime has happened, right? The month of the this crime, and how or from which police station this crime has been reported, right? So you can see here Surrey police. If we move downwards, yeah, it is being reported by Surrey police only. So where this crime has happened, right? And the latitude longitude value of each and every point, and then the location, maybe the street name or the maybe near, like near a specific location, a specific, right? So the specific location has been recorded, right? Near on or near Cherry Oak or Orchid Road, right? On or near Dustle Way, like that, on or near supermarket. The specific location where the crime has happened. Then there is some code, right? There is some name. So yeah, this is also the city name, right? City of London, East Hampshire, Elmbridge, and there is a number. So for this specific location, there is a code, right? And here is the crime type, right? This is the crime type. We have a column for the crime type. So which kind of crime has been conducted, right? Violence and sexual offenses, burglary, right? Public order, criminal damage, antisocial behavior, right? Shoplifting, it is stealing, vehicle crime, so drugs, right? So those are the crime types that has been occurred, right? And then the status of the crime, whether it is under investigation or whether the investigation has been completed, awaiting court outcome, right? Further investigation, something, those kind of information has been recorded as the last outcome category, right? And then there is a column called context, but there is no data in that column, right? So that is the attribute table about these crime activities, right? Okay, so here we have an option called field calculator. So we can click on this field calculator and a window will be popped up like this, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to create a virtual field, right? So you can see here create virtual field, and we are going to give the output field name, the name of the new column that we are going to create, right? So since we are going to add weights, we are going to just give the name as weight, and we can select the output field type, whether it is a whole number, decimal, text, date, or whatever. So since we are going to give weight or a particular number for this new column, we'll just give a whole number, and we can give a field length. So we can, since I am going to use one particular number, I am going to give a field length as 4, right? So that is the attributes that I'm going to select in order to apply for the new column name. Then we are going to write the expression. So you can see here under the crime type there are many types of crimes, right? Many types of criminal activities. So we can go under the fields and values, right? And here we can select crime type, and we can get all unique crime types into here, right? All unique crime types we can get into this window. Just click all unique crime types, so we can see all the different crime types that we have in our table, in our attribute table, right? All the different crime types are here. Okay, so so what we are going to do is we are going to select more violence crimes, and we are going to give a higher value, and less violence crimes we are going to give lower values, right? So if I go to this if I go to your handout again, you can see here we are going to write a switch case statement, right? I think you have already done some kind of programming. I hope that you have done. So I think you can understand about this switch case statement, right? So we are not going to, here we are not having a very hard programming language here. So we are simply going to write the statement like this, right? So case when the crime type is violence, then I am going to give the value as 10, right? So more violent crimes I am going to give larger values, and less violent crimes I am going to give smaller values, right? So how I am going to write this is, you can either select from this right, under conditionals we can find case. So when you double click on this case word, you can directly get the syntax, right? So case when what you have to do is you have to simply just write the condition here and then the result, right? So I'm going to write the condition as crime type um, like okay, right, crime type like, and I'm going to select let's see, violence. So I do not need to write this whole I mean the whole phrase here, since I am using like, just violence is enough, because any crime type with the word violence will have this result, right? So just simply write violence, it is okay. Then so how I'm going to write the result is then just write the weight value, right? So I'm going to give the value as 10. Okay. Okay, so under the next phrase I'm going to write when, and then the crime type like let's say robbery, then the value like 8, okay. So yeah, crime type like robbery, then 8, and then when the crime type like what else, let's say bicycle theft, then the weight will be 5, right? And when the crime type like other theft, then 1, like that. You can uh, in the correct way, actually you have to add weights for all of these crime types, right? All of these different crime types, you have to add weights, suitable weights. You have to order them according to the violence that you prefer to order, right? So like that you can write them. So I have only written 4 here, and then finally what you have to do is you have to finally you have to give a default value, for example else 1, something like that. So if it is not any of these crime types, you can give another value, else 0 or something like that. Okay, and then if this is the case statement that you can write, right? So you can use the crime type and then you can give weights. So since we are outputting this field here, these values will be written down or output under this field, right? So we can save this expression into any like a default expression or a current expression that we can use again and again maybe, or we can use this expression in other data sets like that. We can label and we can store this expression. So I'll just write crime type weight and save it. You can save it either, or otherwise you can just run this. So here you can import any expressions that you have saved somewhere, or you can export this expression. You can save this expression in some place, right? It is saved under .json extension, so you can save this expression, right? Right, so this is the expression that I have written. So I'm going to click OK, and you can see there is a weight column added here, right? There is a weight column added here. So yeah, so for other theft crimes, you can see the value is 1 for the other theft, and for bicycle theft the value is 5, and what else? Yeah, for every other theft we have, we okay, for violence and sexual behavior it hasn't come. Okay, I have forgotten to add a percentage mark here. It is let's see again. Okay, I'll just Okay, so it is not conditional formatting here. I'll just simply add a new so the output field name will be weight. Let's see whether it is replaceable. Um, so yes, when sorry, the crime type like uh, violence. So you can give, rather than type in this, you can just give a percentage mark. Right. And then violence and sexual offenses. The other words will be automatically selected with this percentage mark, right? Then the result will be 10, right? Okay, so let's see if let's see if I type OK here. Let's see whether it is replaced. No, what? Okay, so I think you can understand what is the problem, right? You can it is when you are typing, when you are writing this expression, you have to write it like this. For example, violence related crime types, with anything with the word violence should be written like this, right? Violence and then the percentage mark, then you have to give the value like that. Okay, so like that you can give weights for these what do you say, these criminal types, right? And then in our heat map we can select weight points, right? So in our heat map we can use the layer styling, we can give a color ramp and a radius. So here 5000 has been given according to this map, right? And under the weight points we have to select the weight, right? So in our QGIS application we can select the heat map and we can give any color ramp. Okay, maybe like this. Right, we can actually select this color and let's select like this and see. Yeah, So you can see there is a small heat map kind of thing drawn here. So the radius has been given as 5000 and in map units. So we can use map units and we can have 5000. Okay. Okay, so my map is still loading here. We can select the weighted points by weight points by option. So we can give weight. Right. Okay, so my map is taking time to load. So you can select like this and see. Right. So yeah, you can select and see how this heat map is being created when we add weighted points. So here this heat map is focused more on the crime type field, right? Okay. Okay, so what the thing here is, you have to like change this radius values and the type of the of how you are measuring this radius. There's these kind of attributes here you have to change and see how your heat map is being created, right? I mean, how can you visually see or understand your heat map? So for that, what you have to do is you have to change these values, right? You have to change these values and see the optimum values where you can understand this heat map, right? Okay, so so there is something called the heat map kernel density estimation. So here what why we have this is, if you need the heat map visualization that you have built to be saved as a permanent raster layer, right? You want to permanently save this as a raster layer, or if you want to customize the heat map with advanced options, for example different kernels or dynamic radius, you can use this option called heat map kernel density estimation. So you have to you can use this option in the available in the processing toolbox. I think I have mentioned about loading these toolboxes. There are many tools in QGIS, many toolboxes. So you can use the processing toolbox, and under the vector general option, you can see here there is one option called reproject layer, right? uh, so before creating the heat map, you have to reproject this layer. So you can reproject the layer into the particular coordinate referencing system. Maybe the coordinate referencing system has been mentioned to you, or otherwise you can use a relevant coordinate referencing system which is relevant to the data set, right? So you have to know where this data set is located, like which country or which region, like that, right? Um, the projected coordinate referencing system is a good choice for data in the UK. So here you have been given a certain CRS. So this CRS is best for the UK, right? It is best for data which has been recorded in UK, right? Okay, so like that you can create the kernel density estimation. Then afterwards, so before creating the kernel density estimation, you have to reproject these layers like this, and then you have to use the processing toolbox again, and there is an option called interpolation, right? Interpolation and heat map kernel density estimation. The option is given there directly. So when you click on this kernel density estimation option, this kind of window will come, right? This kind of window will come. So according to this data set, I have given you the optimal values. For example, the radius of how this heat map should be created, the raster size, the output raster size, right? So x pixel size, y pixel size, like that. Then we have to select the field where we want to weight. If we want to focus on a particular field, we have to select it, right? So so here you can see this is the this will be the output initially. So this initially this will be the color, right? Because defaultly when you create the heat map, a single band gray color is being used to create this heat map, right? So you can select the right, you can select this option, output option. You can select or you can change the renderer to single band pseudo color and select the red color ramp. So the red color ramp, you can select the red color range to visualize this heat map, right? You can also change the color ramp suitably like this. So for minimum values, right, or for lesser values or maybe higher values, that depends on the data set and the information that you are going to get from it. So you can set the colors, right? You can set the colors. So after you set the colors, you will be getting a nice map like this. So people who will just look at this map, they will be able to somewhat identify what kind of thing or what kind of information this map is going to give to you, right? So the legend of the map will be seen here. So like that, you will be able to visualize this map by yourself, or understand this map by yourselves after giving several colors to the heat map. For the color ramp, you give several colors, right? So you can see a differently generated map is here. So that is creating heat maps using another way, right? Like outputting the heat map with the single band gray renderer, right? I think I have given this handout to you, so you can practice on this activity, right? Heat map kernel density estimation, right? Kernel density estimation, you can practice it, right? So any questions regarding this creating heat maps? Okay, so I will just give you a little bit of time, so you can just go through this handout and see, like practice a little bit about this. For example, adding a condition in your field calculator, and then adding weighted points for the map, right? How to add weighted points to the map. So this kind of information is provided to you. The steps of the activity is provided to you. So I'll give you a little bit of time. If you like, you can practice a little bit and see what happens. So in the meantime, if you get any questions, if you raise any questions, you can ask. Okay. So if you have like finished, or if you are okay with this heat map creation, I have I have sent you in the chat some another handout actually, right? I have sent you this handout in your chat. You can download it and try to do this. This is actually okay. I have to send you the data as well. I will send the shape files also, so you can download them and you can try. So all the steps are given here, right? You can try and build like a heat map, this kind of heat map, and finally actually you can animate this heat map, right? Because there are data um, based on the time, right? So you can animate this data like yearly map, like that. So you can go through these steps, right? It is somewhat a lengthy tutorial, but yeah, if you can like do up to this point here where you can animate and play it, uh, try to do it up to this point. uh, just just try. Okay, so people who are like okay with the heat maps stuff, uh, download this tutorial. I have sent you through the chat. I'll send you these data as well, data files, and you can download them and then try and do this tutorial, right? It is for you to be familiar with creating heat maps, because you have one whole question regarding heat maps in your assignment. Normally, one or two questions are there. Okay. Okay, I'll send you the shape files as well. Okay, so please download these shape files also. They are zipped. You can unzip it and then you can use in your use with your tutorial here, right? So I have sent you three files. One is the tutorial, and there are two shape files. Not only the shape files, all the project files are there. The shape files are also inside. So you can load the shape files to your canvas, and then you can go through this tutorial. It is actually the final result will be very nice with animation. Okay, so please go through them and just try it. First of all, try to do it. So I'll give you a little bit of time for you to go through this activity, right? Any questions? Are you okay with the tutorial? You might not have finished by now, but up to the point that you are you okay with it? If you have any questions, you can ask. Okay, I'll give you a little bit more time. So try to read this tutorial and try to build an animation. Try your best. Did you finish? Could you finish doing the tutorial, or were you able to like sum up? Did you finish it? Do you have any questions? Yes, anybody? Did you try it?
Yes, I'm still doing.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'll give you another like we'll start at 3. It is 2:52 now. We have another I mean a new kind of theory to do in QGIS itself. So we'll start at 3. You can go on with this tutorial, and this is actually for you to be familiar with creating heat maps. This animation part is for your interest. It is interesting when you see the final result. That's why I gave you this kind of exercise. So you can continue this tutorial. It might take time, don't worry, because you are just beginners. So we'll start our new topic at 3 o'clock. So you can go on with this, with the remaining steps that you have to do, right? In the meantime, if you have any questions, you can ask. Okay, so if you have if you haven't completed this tutorial, you can continue it at home. I- you might not have totally completed it, but if you have like completed it up to this point, where you can play your temporal controller, then it is fine. The other steps are actually to enhance your um, animation. However, you can try all of these steps after the lecture, right? There are around 13 pages. You can try them. What actually happens here is image files are being saved, right? You can see in the final screen here, image files have been saved. So these image files are being played again and again. It is like a GIF file afterwards, right? So try to build your animation, and if you encounter any questions or any issues regarding the animation, you can bring them on next week. Okay, you try it by yourself and bring them on next week. If you were unable to uh, get the final output, or if you encounter any issues in between, you can come up with them on the next lecture. Okay, so today we will be talking about another thing. So these two tutorials are about heat maps basically. One is just creating a heat map, the previous tutorial, and the one that I just gave is about using heat maps for further analysis or further visualization. As you can see here, this animation thing is actually a very important or very strong uh, strategy to visualize data. We talked about data visualization, like when we are analyzing data in GIS, after we do our analysis and everything, finally we visualize the data. We present the data in a visual way, then only we are able to like identify patterns, identify any abnormalities, things like that, right? So it is a very important part in GIS. So okay, so try to complete this tutorial at home. Okay, so next, so I'm going to just remove these layers here in my canvas. Okay, so the next thing that we have to do is the next exercise, calculating line lengths, right? Calculating line lengths and statistics. So did I send this tutorial? Did you get this? I couldn't send any tutorials today to your course coordinator. Did you get this? Can I know whether you have this tutorial with you? Calculating line lengths. This exercise 8, I think. Yeah, exercise 8. I think I have sent it. I might have sent it.
Yes, ma'am, we have that.
Okay. Okay, so you can use that tutorial. So here what we are going to do is this is actually a supportive tutorial. So you are going to get I mean, by calculating line lengths and doing this statistics, by this thing you are going to support your answers in your assignment, right? So in your assignment, there won't be any questions like calculate the length of the two locations. Like they won't give two locations and say what is the length between. No, nothing like that. But in your questions, there will be questions like you need to, for example, you need to build or you need to construct a new building in a village or in a town, right? So this new building should be near to a hospital. It should be like 100 meters near to some school, like that. So they will give certain instructions, and then they will ask you to find the optimal location, find the best location to build that building, right? So for that you have to specify, okay, the new building or the new building should be constructed at this point. Why? Because it is near to these locations, and you have to give the lengths. It is 100 meters near to the school, it is 1 kilometer near to the hospital, like that, right? So for that you have to use these, you have to calculate the lengths, right? You have to calculate the lengths, and you have to calculate the optimal, get the optimal length, and you have to support your answer. So statistics here is also, you have to use these statistics in order to support the answers that you are giving in your assignment, right? Okay, so yeah, within that folder that I have given to you about this eighth exercise folder with exercise 8, inside that folder there is a shapefile, railroads, right? The shapefile includes railway roads. So you can load these railroads into your canvas, and you will be able to see a lot of roads, right? So before calculating line length, you have to use this processing toolbox. Inside this processing toolbox, you will have a vector geometry, right? Vector geometry. There is a function called vector geometry, and under that function, or within that function, you have an option called add geometry attribute. So this length, distance, all of these are geometry attributes, right? So you have to select this option called geometry attributes, add geometry attributes, and then you will be able to use or you will be you will be able to find the lengths or distances, right? So why are we adding these geometry attributes? We load the maps into our canvas using latitude and longitude values, right? In our canvas we have maps. These maps are based on the latitude and longitude values, but they do not have a standard length, right? We cannot say the between two longitude values there are 1,000 kilometers, they are 1,000 kilometers apart. We cannot say like that. We do not have a standard length. You can't measure distances or areas accurately using these latitude and longitude values. Nobody says from this city to another one there is one latitude distance, there is one longitude distance or 10 longitude distances. We do not talk like that, right? So measuring cannot be done using latitude and longitude values. So that's why we are adding some geometry attributes into our map. So that is a feature provided by QGIS. It is a way to compute distances. So here they are using ellipsoidal geometry. Ellipsoidal geometry is the most accurate method for layers spanning large areas. So here we are talking about large areas, right? Not only within a village or not only within some specific area. We are talking about distances between countries, between towns, right? Between states, between continents, right? So they are spanning in very large areas. So this is called ellipsoidal geometry. So we have to add those attributes into our map. That's why we are using this add geometry attribute function. So when we are using this add geometry attribute function, we have to specify that we are calculating our distances using ellipsoidal geometry, right? We are calculating our distances using ellipsoidal geometry. So if we move on to our canvas here, so we'll load our file, our shape file. So this will be under exercise 8, right? It is under the folder NETEM railroads. Yeah, so this is the shape file. So we load the shape file to our canvas. So you can see, even without a map, you can see that these are some railroads regarding railroads situated in North America, right? So if we focus like this, you can see these are railroads, right? You can open this attribute table, and in the attribute table you will be able to see railroads located in the United States, and there is some identification or code, right? Net scale, then the continent, right? Those are the information that are given in the attribute table, right? So not much of information. So the lengths are not given. So what we are going to do is we are going to calculate the length. Okay, so we'll load the toolbox. Okay, so under vector geometry, you can see add geometry attributes. Under vector geometry, you can see add geometry attributes. So you can double click on this, and then this window will be opened. So the input layer will be the layer that we have selected here. So only one layer is available, so it will be selected here. If there are several layers, you have to mention to which layer you are adding these geometry attributes. Then you have to mention what kind of calculation, right? So we are using ellipsoidal calculation to calculate the line lengths, right? So a description is given here. You can also see. So this algorithm computes geometric properties of the features in a vector layer. It generates a new vector layer with the same content as the input one, but with additional attributes in its attribute table containing geometric measurements. Geometric measurements will be added in its attribute table, in the attribute table of this layer, right? So we'll select this ellipsoidal function, and yeah, that's all. So leave the others as it is defaultly, and then we have to run this. So after running the function, you can see finally it says loading resulting layers, algorithm add geometry attributes finished. Okay, you will be able to see a new layer will be here. New layer is added. So we'll close this, and you can maybe hide this previous layer. So this is the new layer, added geom info. So geometric information will be there. So if we open the attribute table of this layer, you will be able to see the geometric information of the particular layer, right? The length, actually, the length normally they are given in meters, right? Lengths are given in meters. The standard measurement, right? The standard measurement, or the SI value. So the lengths of each and every railroad which are drawn in the map is given here, right? So you can maybe select several, and you can see, you will be able to see the selected railroads. So these are the railroads, right? The selected ones which are highlighted like this, right? So the lengths are given for each and every railroad, right? So that is just right. The lengths are given here, right? So this is because this is basically because the railroads are drawn in particular lines. So one railroad or one line in the map depicts one railroad, like that. So initially the data is drawn like that. Okay, so that's why, so here actually the lengths of each and every lines are depicted here, right? The lengths of each and every lines are depicted here. Okay, so that is what we get when we add a geometry attribute for a layer. Okay, so then let's see if somebody says to measure the distances between one or two points, or between among a road. Let's see how we are supposed to do that, right? So you can see geometric information have been added here. It is a copy of the input layer. So you can filter roads. You need to obtain the length and statistics. So there is an option called filter. So you can filter the railroads. So for example, what is the length of all the railroads which are located in the USA, United States of America, right? So you can write expressions for filtering. right? So if you it is the same query builder that we have been used previously, right? And then after filtering, you are able to view statistical details of the filtered roads. Okay, so if we look like this, we can right click on this layer and we have the filter option. So these are the field names or the column names in our attribute table. So if we select, so under this option we have the, if we select all, you can see the SOV. SOV means maybe the state, right? The state. So this is Canada, this is something else. So this is like Mexico something. So this is USA, means the United States. You know this, all of these, I mean all of the North America does not include into the United States. The Canada is another country, or yeah, another country, like that. So US, so let's say that we want to measure the length of all the railroads in USA. Then what we are going to do is we are going to provide our expression, right? So what we are going to say is SOV is equal to USA, right? And then we can test it. So from our attribute table, 752 rows are given. Okay. So we have some results and we can say okay. Okay. So you can see this. So if I enable this layer, you can see the other railroads which are given in green color are the ones which are not railroads of the USA, right? So if I hide this layer again, this is the new layer, the filtered one. So we have filtered the railroads in USA only, right? And then so we can view the statistical information of these filtered roads. Okay, so here there is an option called show statistical summary. So remember, in the new layer we have filtered. So if you want to know, I mean, if you, in order to identify that we have filtered something in that layer, you can see there is an icon of a filter here, right? So if you move the cursor on top of that icon, you can see the filter, what kind of filtering is given here. So SOV-A3 equals USA is the filter that we have given, right? That we have filtered. So that is the geometric information that we have here. We have filtered the states as or we have filtered the country as USA here, right? And if we want to look at a statistical summary of all of these rows that we have filtered here, we can use this option called show statistical summary. So when we click this, you can see another window, a small window will be opened here, right? So we have to select the particular layer, right? So this is the layer that we have filtered, and the geometry attributes are included in this layer, the new one, added geominfo. So we have to select that layer here, right? And we can select the length, right? The length of the roads. So when we select that, you can see some statistical information are given here. Okay, yeah. So you can see here the length. When we talk about the length of the roads, how many roads, the road count is given here. The summation of all the lengths are given here, right? So this is a very large number. So the mean value or the mean length, the median length, right? The standard deviation, two kinds of standard deviation, the maximum length, the range, right? The minority, majority, variety, and the quarters, right? All of this information, statistical information, is given to you within this table. So this statistical information is regarding this layer that we have filtered, right? So this information is regarding to the lengths of the railroads in USA only, because we have filtered for the railroads in USA, right? So like that you can get some statistical information directly by filtering as you like, as you desire, right? And you can use this statistical information when you're providing answers in your assignment, maybe in a map, if like yeah, when you are providing answers using a map, and if distance related or length related information is being asked, then you can provide these kind of values, statistical values, right? So you have to like include, if you are providing or if you are using this information in your answers, you can either take a screenshot of this table and include in your report, right? You can take a screenshot of this table or the particular values that you are using in your answers, and then include in your report, right? So these are to actually these are for you to prove your answer, to secure your answer in your assignment, right? Yeah, so this is about length. right? So if we take the other geometric information, it gives some information, but it does not give a proper meaning, because if we select rank, since there are numbers, these the minimum number, the maximum, range, minority, majority, those kind of numbers will be given to you with statistics, but it does not give a particular meaning, right? So make sure that you choose the particular option or particular attribute where you need to answer in your assignment, right? Okay, so yeah, so similarly you can view a statistical summary, and if you want to provide any proofs with your answers, you can include this table as well, a screenshot of the table. So yeah, so the units of the statistics is the same as the units of length column in meters. So these units are in meters. So if you want to change it in kilometers, you can use this expression editor or expression dialog, and you can convert your lengths into kilometers. It is like this. You can see here. Sorry. So, you can see here there are very large numbers, right? It's because all these numbers, all these values are in meters. So you can use this expression editor, right? Here the length is being used, so you can divide it by 1000 in order to convert this length into kilometers. So when you choose OK, you can see here 131, 102, 129, that kind of information is available, right? So that is in kilometers. Okay, so this information is about this set of railroads in USA only. Okay, so yeah, so these are some information that you can get from this statistical table. The sum of all the sum of the total length of the railroads is given here, right? Okay, so that those are some ways that you can use to get the lengths of the railroads. So you can either directly, you can add the geometric attribute and directly go to the attribute table and view the length of all the railroads which are given in your attribute table. Or otherwise you can, if it is a very if there are very large amount of roads, and if you are unable to distinguish regarding to your question, then you can do some filtering. You can either select a state, or you can either select do any other kind of selection, or maybe you can get the railroads which are where the lengths are less than some particular value, right? You can add a threshold like that. You can do some filtering, and then after doing the filtering you can get the total length of the, maybe the total length, maybe the mean value, the median, any statistical value that you like after filtering, right? So those are the two main ways that you can get the lengths of the railroads, and then you can measure the you can manually measure the railroads, right? For that there is a measuring tool to measure the length of the roads, or particularly the lines in your map, right? The railroads are given using the lines, no? Railroads are lines are being used to draw railroads, so you can measure the length of the lines manually, so in a manual way. So what you have to do is you have to click on this line, and you have to click along the line that you want to measure, right? You can use line segments, and similar to the way that we used to digitize the map. We used to draw on lines to digitize maps. So in a similar way, you can draw on top of these railroads or lines which are available on the map. So when you're drawing, this information will appear, right? So if I zoom in, let's say I want to measure this road here. So you can select measure line, right? So a dialog box will come here. So it is initially given in meters. You can maybe select in kilometers. You have to select ellipsoidal, right? If you expand this, you can see the information is given here. The calculations are based on project ellipsoidal calculation, right? Because we have selected that. The coordinates are transformed to the chosen ellipsoidal. So the coordinate referencing system of the map is given here, and the distance is calculated in meters initially. The value is converted from meters to kilometers since we have selected kilometers here. So what I am going to do is I am going to click on one point, and then I am going to keep on clicking like this on top of the line, right? So when you have bends, make sure you try your best to click on the particular line. The lines will initially be adjusted by the computer itself or by the application itself. However, you have to very carefully click on top of the lines, right? So you can click on somewhere else as well, that is okay. You can use the delete button if you have done any mistake. Let's say like this, you can use the delete button on your keyboard. So when you delete once, one step is being erased. You can delete another step and it comes to here, right? So like that you can do the adjustments when you are drawing, right? Initially when you are drawing. Okay, so remember these the manual way, in the manual way you might not be able to measure the length very accurately as given in the attribute table, right? Because when we are measuring, when you are drawing this thing manually,
sometimes the lines that you are drawing won't be very accurately on top of the line segment which is given on the map, right? It won't be very accurate as given in the values in the attribute table. However, this manual system is easy when you need to like measure maybe a portion of the line, right? Or maybe a portion of the railroad, a part of the railroad, or when no roads are given, right? If you want to measure 2 points in an area like that, this manual way will be suitable, right? So when you are finished measuring, you can right click. So when you right click, the measuring will be over and you can see the final length is being given, right? 309 kilometers is you can see this railroad here, the length of this part of the railroad is 309 kilometers, right? So here you can see these are the portions that we have selected, right? So you can copy this value and you can paste on your in your document or the report that you are writing, right? So when you can here by clicking on this configuration, you can configure or you can change the settings or the values, sorry, not the values, the visual way that you are that it is here when you are drawing the line, right? For example, if the roads in the map is also the same color as the rubber band color, then you won't be able to clearly distinguish when drawing. So you can select another color for the rubber band. Rubber band means this band that you are drawing, right? So yeah, like that you can change the settings here, right? So preferred distance units in meters, preferred area units in square meters, preferred angles are in degrees. You can change these values as you like, right? So I'm not going to change anything. So this is the final, yeah, so this is in meters. You can select kilometers or feet or yards or any type, and this will be the distance, right? So in your assignment also I told you you might be getting some questions when they might ask you to mention an optimal location to maybe build a building, construct a building or plant a tree or something like that. So if you are measuring the distance between some point and the particular point that you are going to build something, then you have to measure those points and give the answer. So for when you are giving the answer, you can include a screenshot of the length of the points that you have or the lines or areas that you have selected, right? So that is about how you can measure a line. Under this feature, you can also measure area, right? You can measure area. So if I if I measure this, if I want to measure this area, the area of this particular state maybe, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this one, measure area, and so these are in square meters. You can use square kilometers. So similar to the way that you have drawn areas in when digitizing maps, the similar way you can just click on the boundaries of the area, and then you can keep on clicking like this, right? Right. So make sure when you are drawing this, make sure you are you can I mean, make sure to draw this very smoothly. So I'm just roughly drawing this. Okay, so like this you can measure the area of a particular location, right? So in square kilometers the value is being given, right? Yeah, you can use acres, right? You can use square miles, square yard, square feet, any measurement that you like, right? Okay, so this is how you can measure areas. And there is another way, another thing that you can measure angles. So it is very rare for you to measure angles in your assignment actually, but you can do some measurement. So you can select this measure angles and maybe like this. So this is the angle that yeah, it goes clockwise, right? It goes clockwise. It starts from here and goes this in this side. But if you are measuring from here, it will be a minus value here, right? Because this is anti-clockwise. It goes, you have to measure it. I mean, if you are measuring it clockwise, it will be a plus or yeah, positive value, right? So like that you can measure angles as well. Okay, normally you do not get to measure angles in your assignment, but just in case, try this and be familiar with it also, right? Okay, so so we have, by now we have covered basically almost all the theories that you need in QGIS to answer your assignment, right? Did you get your assignments? Do you have your assignments with you now? The assignments that you are required to do? Anybody? Did you get your assignments? No.
Still not, ma'am.
Still not, right? Okay. So maybe you will be getting them in further in a further date. So this is one this is the assignment of your senior batch, the past assignments. So this kind of questions will be there. So for example, the first question here you can see the Ministry of Education. So there is a lot of information here. So what you have to do is you have to do an analysis. So some information and some case a case is given here, right? So you have to do some analysis. Okay, so for this question actually they have asked you to use R Studio or R Commander. So we will be talking talking about these tools in from the next week onwards. R Studio, R Commander, those kind of tools. So let's leave that question. The second one also you need to do using R Studio. And the third one actually here, a CSV file is given. So what they have asked you to do is the map processing should be done using provided vector dataset, and visualized information should be well described. So what you have to do here is you have to build a map. The data is given to you, right? The CSV data is given to you. So you have to use that CSV data, and you have to visualize. You have to create a map, and you have to describe the map. Maybe you have to find some patterns, things like that. You have to describe the map. But the practical part is creating the map. Our first practical, right? Our first exercise, creating a map. So like that you have to create a map. Then you have to describe it. For the description you can use here you do not need to use any analysis tools. Just by describing what is there in the map itself, when you just the visual part is okay, right? And in the second question, here also I think you have to some files are given to you, and here also you have to create the map. The map should contain district name, national schools, provincial schools, and all government schools. These shape files or that kind of files will be provided to you. So you have to use those files maybe in layers, and then you have to describe them. You have to provide justifications about education facility distribution in the districts. You have to say that in the Colombo based districts or the town based districts have more education facility than in the other districts. So you have to point there are many schools, or there are higher amount of schools in this particular districts, but there are less amount of schools in these districts. So for that you have to show the values in the map, right? Values on the map. Maybe you can divide the type of schools, maybe national schools, more national schools are there in district, in I mean, less national schools are there in rural areas, like that. You can describe, right? So what you have to do is you have to focus to uplift the education of the country. So like that, they are providing you some things or some targets. You have to describe them using maps, right? Using the data that you have with you. So those kind of questions you can answer by now, because you are able to create maps, you are able to do statistical performance on maps. You can use the statistical table to count the particular maybe schools or buildings, like that, and you can describe them, right? So like that, most of the questions by now you can do. So here question E is totally based on digitizing the map, right? Digitizing a map, develop a digitized informative area map. So the information and those kind of things are given to you, so you have to develop a digitized map. So PostgreSQL database, you cannot do right now. We have to cover it, and this one also you can do. You have to build a Sri Lankan map, and for this you have to use a base map, right? You have to use a base map. You know how to load a base map to your canvas. So and then you have to develop a map using the information which is given to you here, right? Here also, yeah, this was the kind of question that I have mentioned today. Here, a suitable area. So a map, you have to develop a map, and they are finding a suitable land for a newly establishing state of art, to develop this building. They are finding a land, they are searching for a land area to develop this kind of building. So the area should be located 700 meters away from the Pushpadana Vidyalaya, as they have mentioned, and 600 meters away from the Faculty of Dental Science. So for these things, you have to measure. You have to measure the distance between the ideal point that you are going to mention and the given buildings, Pushpadana Vidyalaya and the Faculty of Dental Science, right? So the ideal location should be selected considering nature of the soil and the land use area. So those kind of information will be given to you in your map. So after building the map, you have to do a critical discussion of why you have selected that particular point as the suitability area, right? And you have to count the number of buildings in that area. You have to measure the land area, total area, right? Total area occupied by the buildings and the total suitable land area. So those things you have to measure and state, right? So you can do this question as well. So this is a previous assignment. So you will be getting somewhat an assignment with somewhat close questions, right? So most of the questions you are able to do by now. So the next week we will start with databases, PostgreSQL database, right? We will start to do PostgreSQL databases, and
we are using PostgreSQL databases because normally in MySQL kind of database, we do not have the option to store spatial data, right? So we are dealing with spatial data here. So in languages like MySQL, they do not support the use of spatial data. Data with latitude and longitude values are not supported by those kind of database systems. That's why we are using PostgreSQL or geospatial database, right? So we will we will talk about geospatial databases on the next week. Yeah, so I think I have sent this tutorial as well. PostgreSQL tutorial I have sent you. I think I have sent to you. If you haven't got it, please let me know. So here actually I have you have to download PostgreSQL and install it, right? You have to download PostgreSQL and install it. You just type PostgreSQL in your Google browser, and it is not much. It is very easy. You can just download and just install it. It is not hard to do, right? There are no settings to apply. So yeah, so after you install it, you will be able to find this pgadmin, PostgreSQL admin application. So you have to connect to PostgreSQL database server using this pgadmin. So we will look into these things on the next week, right? However, I have sent you this tutorial as I remember, so you can install PostgreSQL and then you can try to connect and try to build databases, right? You can try to connect and try to build databases. So after we complete creating the database in our PostgreSQL database, we can load that database in QGIS, right? As PostGIS, we can load that database in QGIS, right? So we'll look into those things on the next week. You can download PostgreSQL and be ready with your if you like start doing something with PostgreSQL, then you can work on them, and if you encounter any issues, you can come up on the next week, and then afterwards we will start doing some analysis with R and RStudio, right? Then afterwards you will be able to do all the questions in your assignment. Your assignment actually has two parts. One is that set of questions that I have mentioned here, right? You will be receiving you have to write reports, right? You have to write reports of like you have to give answers to these questions, but the thing is you have to explain them, right, in a reportive manner. So there are 8 questions, right? Up to H. There are 8 questions, and certain report formatting is given to you. So yeah, how the marks are given also is given to you, so you can go through these assignment stuff and see. So when you receive your assignment, go through them, go through it and see, right? So this is one part of your assignment, writing the reports or writing answers to each and every question here. And the other part of your assignment is again to write a report, and you have to do a presentation on it, right? So okay, so this is the other part of your assignment. A certain certain case is given to you, right? Not a case actually, a certain a certain scenario is given to you. So you have to do a proposal presentation here. You have to propose something to maybe to the government, maybe to the education sector, maybe to the state minister, like that, right? So the information is given here. So you have to understand this case, and then you have to develop a presentation where you have to propose something for the betterment of something, maybe the education, like that. So the previous assignment was actually based on the education sector. So I don't know what kind of assignment you will be getting, but this is this kind of thing. You have to develop a proposal presentation with the given tasks that that they have given to you, right? So this is how you have to develop your presentation. You have to do an introduction. You have to talk about the importance of the topic, maybe in a global and local trends. You have to identify issues, opportunities related to the topic, how you can overcome those opportunities or issues, right? You have to do a literature review related to the discussion. You have to include some papers that you have read or articles, like that, right? So you have to use geospatial and non-geospatial data. Then, and you have to mention what are the geospatial and non-geospatial data that you have used, right? And you have to mention about the statistical and geospatial tools, techniques and methods that you have carried out in order to answer the question, or in order to build the proposal, right? So like that, guidelines are given to you. So those are the two parts of the assignment. One is building the report by answering these questions. The other one is doing the presentation, right? So in order to build the report, you can use RStudio, RCommander, QGIS, PostgreSQL, Google Earth, those kind of applications you can use. So I'm not going to cover all of these applications. So QGIS I have covered. We will do PostgreSQL and RStudio also. We will talk about Google Earth, but Google Earth is actually not a very new application for you guys. I think you have used Google Earth, or you have at least gone and see what kind of thing is Google Earth, right? So yeah, so we will be you can use any of these applications for answering the questions. And remember, you cannot use any other applications, right? Any other analytical applications like
what do you say, yeah, some application called MATLAB is there, SPSS, those kind of applications are there, but you cannot use them because they are not recommended here, and here we are dealing with geospatial data, right? So MATLAB, SPSS, and other maybe Excel, Microsoft Excel. Also in Excel also you can do some analysis, but they do not support geospatial data. So don't ask whether to use those kind of applications. No, you cannot use them. You have to use the applications which are mentioned here, right? RStudio, R Commander, QGIS, PostgreSQL, or Google Earth, right? These applications are enough actually to cover your assignment. Okay, so that is about your assignments. So we will be starting PostgreSQL on the next week. So try to do that heat map animation thing at home. If you find any issues, you can come up with them on the next week. Yeah, any other questions that you need to clarify?
Excuse me, Miss. Group. The
Yes,
presentation is group assignment or individual.
individual. Presentation is individual.
Okay, Miss.
And this assignment is also individual. It is not a group assignment. These questions, I mean. Okay, any other questions?
How many assignments are we getting, madam?
You will be getting 2. I mean, there are 2 parts in your assignment. One is you have to answer these questions. The other one is you have to build the presentation. That is all. Any other questions? Okay, no questions. Okay, so if you do not have any questions, you can we will stop for today. So from the next on the next week we'll start with the PostgreSQL. Please be ready. You can install PostgreSQL in your machine and come, so you can do the practicals online at the moment itself. Okay, I think I have sent all the tutorials to you. So if any one of you haven't received the tutorial or the handouts regarding PostgreSQL and RStudio, please let me know. Okay, so the tutorial that I have sent you today on the chat, the tutorial and the data set, make sure you share it with your friends if they haven't participated in the lecture today. You can share it with them, because I didn't send that tutorial and the data set to your course coordinator, right? So I have just sent it to the chat here. I don't know whether they can download it from here or not, but you can share it with them. Okay, then if we don't have any other issues, we can conclude our session for today. So we'll start on the next day, right? On the next week. So until then, have a nice week.
Thank you, Miss.